use my magic in any way he didn't approve of. I'd escaped that trap only through luck, a lot of struggle, and the love of the men who'd been my beloved childhood friends. But so many more witches might be caught up in their schemes, or about to be. We'd found plenty of proof. We'd stolen a hard drive from the Frankfurt's estate. Unfortunately, they and their allies had caught us before we'd been able to leave with it. I'd been forced to make a deal to save my consorts' lives. They'd sworn an oath not to do or order harm to our lives, freedom, or happiness. And I'd sworn that none of us would speak of the files we'd discovered or the crimes we'd recently uncovered. The fact that we'd managed to copy over those files before they'd destroyed that hard drive didn't help with that. I couldn't mention their contents even to my own cousin. Leslie's father and Imogen's aunt and uncle were named in those files. Only a few times as minor supporters, but that was damning enough. It was a good thing they'd come to me. "Do you know if their families were involved with the Frankfurts?" Naomi asked. She knew the basics of what had gone on. She'd been with me when I'd gotten the lead that brought us to the Frankfurts, but nowhere near the full picture. "I can't talk about that," I said, my stomach tightening. "Ah," she grimaced. "Sorry. I shouldn't have asked about that tonight. This isn't the time for thinking about that stuff. I know how hard you've been working from all the time you've spent holed up with your computer since I got here yesterday. Between you and those guys, I'm sure you'll figure something out. And at least you're keeping some of the potential victims safe until then." "That's what I keep telling myself," I said. The pressure in my gut didn't totally lift. A mischievous glint came into Naomi's eyes. "So, how has consorted life been treating you, now that you can finally settle in without worrying about getting arrested or worse?" A smile crossed my face automatically as I looked at my 5 consorts. None of them were witching men, which was bad enough in the Assembly's eyes. But it was also unheard of these days for any witch to take more than one. I hadn't been sure it was even possible until I'd managed it. For most of our relationship so far, I'd had to keep our love and our consorting secret. "It's nice," I said, "just being able to be with them like normal consorts can." "Just nice?" Naomi said, arching her eyebrows. She'd been alternately amused and fascinated by my expanded consorting since I'd first revealed that secret to her and the rest of my long-dead mother's family, even though she seemed very happy with her own consort, Greg. My smile twitched wider. "Okay, amazing." At that moment, my gaze met Gabriel's across the room. My newest consort grinned back at me from where he was dancing with Imogen. The red-headed girl was boogieing down with abandon, but I suspected from the avid glances she kept shooting Gabriel's way that she might be developing a bit of a crush. He kept a friendly distance between them, his smiles for her warm but mild. I couldn't really blame anyone for crushing on him. Gabriel had always been the leader of our little group when we were kids, and he still exuded that confident charisma. The striking combo of dark red hair and bright blue eyes with his handsome face didn't hurt either. Kyler, my tech fanatic, had managed to get reserved Leslie dancing too. The slim guy laughed as he tried to pull off an ambitious spin, his tawny curls swaying as he had to catch himself. His playfulness had gotten Leslie smiling, so I figured that was a win. Not far from them, Jin, my artist, had managed to drag Kyler's more stoic and more brawny twin Seth away from where he'd been watching the festivities from the sidelines. Jin obviously knew his moves. He whipped around in time with the beat, so gracefully it was difficult not to watch. The blue streaks in his smooth black hair glinted under the chandelier's light. Seth stepped and dipped with the music, his movements a lot more awkward, but the expression in his gray-green eyes was amused. As long as my consorts were all having a good time, I was happy. It was hard to tell with one of them. Damon was skulking near the wine table, nursing a beer he'd grabbed from the fridge, rather than bother with fancy glasses and vintages. His jagged, dark brown hair shaded his eyes, and the set of his shoulders suggested he was missing the protective shield of his leather jacket. He caught me looking at him, and one side of his mouth curled up. Setting down his beer, he sauntered over to us. "Doesn't seem right that the birthday girl is stuck playing Wallflower," he said. I was just catching my breath.